That's right, low qual fans. It's a Habs video. Now, the Habs are feeling awfully good right now, right? Third in the league, 8-2-2. Look like they might take the North Division, them or Toronto. But I'm here to knock them down a few pegs. Because there's something that I think they either don't know or don't remember. When you talk about curses, when you talk about a team that is legitimately cursed, it usually takes a couple of decades for you to legitimately believe in them. Well, guess what? Since 1993, the Habs have not won a Stanley Cup, nor have they been to the finals. 27 years. I know, a lot of teams are actually longer than that, but it's just the Habs we're talking about, the Montreal Canadiens. Fuck them, first of all. Second of all, this is really fun for me because they ain't winning shit until the day I die, and that's a low qual guarantee. Disclaimer, me making this video has now guaranteed they're winning the cup this year. So, let's get to it. When you think of a sports curse, there's a few that come to mind, right? First of all, the Billy Goat curse for the Cubs. That was a long one. The curse of the Bambino. Yeah, that's a pretty bad one too. How about the Madden NFL cover? We're still staying pretty intense. But why? Why, in the most important sport there is, and yes, hockey is the most important one. It's the last true sport on the planet. Don't at me at that. Why has no one talked about the curse of St. Patrick? It has been 27 years since not only the Montreal Canadiens have won the cup, but 27 years since a Canadian team has won the cup. Obviously, Montreal being the last one. Good for them. Their longest drought before this last couple of decades was 13 years, between 1931 and 1944. To be fair, there was a lot going on in the world between 1931 and 1944. They are currently suffering through two curses. One is way more important to than the other, and I'm going to go over both of them. The first one is way less fun, but it's actually part of why I hate the Habs. This is why I, a Boston Bruins fan, actually dislike the Habs. Because you see, in 1993, June 9th, they win Game 5 against the Los Angeles Kings. A heroic effort from Patrick Roy, their goalie, my favorite player growing up. That's right, my favorite player was not a Bruin growing up. He is everything you want in a goaltender. Still, in my mind, the greatest goaltender to ever play the game. I know there's a lot of names up there, but he's the best. Oh, they wronged him good. So 1993, June 9th, they win the cup in 5 games over the Gretzky-led. Have you heard of him? Gretzky? Wayne Gretzky? Scored a couple points, did a couple things, won a couple cups. Yeah, that guy leading the Kings in the Stanley Cup Finals against Montreal. And Patrick Roy has an outstanding .930 save percentage. Incredible. He wins them that cup. But things start to sour. And sure, the 93-94 season probably wasn't great because it literally wasn't. But they're thinking of getting back on track in 94-95. But they're firing everybody. And the new GM kind of agrees with the old GM. In which the old GM was, we have to get rid of Patrick Roy. Get rid of Patrick Roy! But we have to get rid of Patrick Roy because he's too much for the team to handle. I'll give you a little quote because someone did some research. This guy, in his biography, Savard, the GM of that team at that time, explains that Patrick Roy, and I'm paraphrasing, but Patrick Roy became too big for the team. He had too much influence over the coaches for the team to move forward. He said Roy was the problem. What? You look me in the eye and you tell me Patrick Roy is the problem. Fuck you. The 94-95 season starts, and they're off to kind of a mediocre 500 start. So what happens? Now, first of all, they have a new coach, and he really doesn't like Patrick Roy, and they're butting heads. In the first meeting, Mario Tremblay, the new coach of the Montreal Canadiens, is mocked by Patrick Roy for his accent. Mocked him. Hilarious, Patrick. Give me more. Mario doesn't like this. I don't know what his problem is. We're starting the season, 94-95, kind of a mediocre start, about 500. Here we go. How about December 2nd? The leaguing Detroit Red Wings come to town, and they take a giant shit on the Canadiens. Mario's a professional. Mr. Tremblay knows what he's doing. He knows that his stars need to be kept happy. He knows that sometimes it's just not a goalie's night. He knows when to pull the plug. So he waits for a very, very calm, minor 9-goal goals before pulling Patrick Qual out of the game. And Patrick Qual was looking for the pull. Later on down the road, you'll realize that he had this poor of a game because that very morning, he spoke to a friend. For those of you who are wondering, the friend he spoke to was Mike Vernon, a man he actually was not friends with at the time and did not speak too much. Mike Vernon, some of you may remember, was the Calgary Flames goalie who requested a trade when, infamously, the pressure became too much. So he asked for a trade, and in 1994, he gets traded to the Detroit Red Wings. Why else would he be there? And he met Patrick Qual at breakfast that morning. And Qual calls him over and asks, "What do I do?" And Vernon goes, "Hey, ask for a trade. Worked for me." So you gotta imagine, a lot's on the guy's mind. And then he goes into this game, and maybe he's not there mentally. But instead of getting pulled when he should have been, Mario has a smirk on his face, and he lets this guy get dragged for 9 goals. Well, you see, Patrick Qual got off that ice, walked to the president, and went, I'm out. I'm not playing another game in this bullshit red. Bullshit red. Good job, Vernon. Love you, bud. Appreciate it. Now, look. No one's going to argue that Patrick Qual wasn't a huge asshole during this time. But he was the face of the league. He's one of the greatest players in the league at the time, and he's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. So yeah, maybe he deserved to be a little bit of a cock every now and again. But they did him dirty, and this was building for a long time. And so now they trade him. December 6th, they trade him, and they trade Captain Mike Keane. They traded captains so often for a 2-year mark. I believe they traded 4 captains in 2 years that the C, they used to refer to it as the Cia. That's a true story. Montreal, what the fuck? You got a absolute blow your face off talent leaving the team because he thinks you're full of shit, which you were. And you trade him along with your captain to the newly formed Colorado Avalanche. I don't know, what do you think happened next? He won the cup, of course that's what happened next. And from that trade, we start 25 years of futility. Absolute, unrecognizable to what that franchise is known for. And it's because of the curse of St. Patty. But let's get to the fun one, huh? How about we get to the real reason? The real reason that they won't win shit until the day I die. I meant that literally. They will not win until I am no longer breathing. Because they're stuck in the low-qual abyss. And they've been enjoying it, I bet. 1993, June 9th, they raised the cup. Good for them. June 9th, just a couple of months later. August 1993, a bouncing, bubbly baby boy comes into being on a dark and stormy night. That baby boy would grow up to be an alcohol-fueled rage monster who gets a little turned on by the black and gold. I always wonder, why is it that I'm such a Bruins fan? No one in my family cares about hockey. They don't. They suck. They don't get it. What was it that drew me to this team? My favorite player growing up played for the Colorado Avalanche. It took me years to realize why the black and gold ran through my veins. It's because when I was born, their greatest rival fell apart. 1993, 1994, they do make the playoffs. Patrick Qual is still backstopping them, and who do they lose to in round 1? The Boston Bruins. In 7 games, the low-qual abyss had taken hold. And they will not escape. They ain't winning shit because this ticker's still going. I am the downfall of the Montreal Canadiens. I'm glad I have a reason to hate them. I'm so glad. And any Canadiens fans watching this, although I don't know why you'd still be watching, no hard feelings. Because you haven't done shit. I don't have to be worried about it. What, our greatest rival? What have you done? What have you done? Oh, you have 24 cups, one of them before the NHL was even the NHL, and the other half you can put an asterisk on. But no one cares. It's been 27 years. So why do I hate the Habs? Don't be a fence sitter. You gotta stand up for your boys. So to any low-qual fan that was a little worried about the Habs coming for the cup, you got nothing to worry about. It's called an abyss for a reason. And if this abyss has bled out and it's now sucking in any Canadian team it can find, well, hey, I'm not going to lose sleep at night. And neither will you. Go Bees.